Chosen one, welcome, Powerhouse. You're not here by chance. You're here by appointment. This message didn't find you. It recognized you. Something inside you has already been shifting. Maybe quietly, maybe uncomfortably, but undeniably. You've been sensing it. The space around you feels tighter. The room that once fit you now feels small. And the life that used to make sense no longer matches your spirit. That's not confusion. That's confirmation. You're not crazy. You're being called. This is bigger than just encouragement. This is a divine transmission. You're not just watching a video or reading words. You're receiving strategy for your next season. Because this next move, it's not about relocation. It's about realignment. It's about stepping fully into what's already been whispered over your life, into rooms built for your voice, into assignments custom-shaped for your anointing. So before we go deeper, honor the moment, take a breath, check in with your soul, and recognize this is sacred ground. Only the aligned find this frequency. If you feel it resonating already, if something inside you is leaping, type "I'm ready" in the comments or say it out loud. Because that simple declaration unlocks more than momentum. It signals heaven that your spirit agrees with the shift. You're not late, you're not lost, you are right on time. And the place you're headed, it's not random, it's revelation. It carries your next level of peace, power, and purpose. And by the time we finish this journey together, you'll know, without a doubt, why you had to outgrow what you once prayed for. Let's move. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Looking for purpose and peace? Hit subscribe and start the journey. You, the ones marked for more, feel it before you can explain it. The atmosphere shifts, the air thickens, and suddenly, the space that once felt safe now feels tight, like wearing clothes you've outgrown. That inner agitation. It's not confusion. It's alignment catching up with your calling. What used to fulfill you no longer speaks to your soul. That tug in your chest, that subtle ache in familiar rooms. It's a signal, not a setback. Something within you is expanding, and the environment around you can no longer contain it. You are not losing your mind. You're being prepared to move beyond what once felt like enough. The sense of not fitting isn't failure. It's the first sign of becoming. Growth often introduces itself through irritation, not inspiration. When your soul is maturing, comfort turns into friction. Not because the space changes, but because you've evolved beyond it. The same rhythm that once matched your heartbeat now feels like background noise. That's not punishment, that's precision. You're not being pushed out, you're being pulled up. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. And yes, it's hard to explain. Others won't get it, because they're not called to leave when you are. This shift is sacred. This pull is personal. You're not walking away from peace. You're walking toward purpose. You've already outgrown the lesson, and now the classroom feels more like confinement than calling. You're not stuck. You're standing in the in-between, and that tension is the signal. It's the pressure that cracks old patterns and births new blueprints. The truth? Remaining where you no longer resonate will drain what's left of your joy. Loyalty to an expired version of your life won't unlock what's next. This isn't rebellion, it's redirection. You don't need to wait for dramatic signs. The unease is already the invitation. The shift doesn't always come with chaos. Sometimes it comes with clarity that whispers, "It's time." And when it's time, you don't need validation, just the courage to move. What's ahead doesn't carry the weight of confusion. It comes wrapped in clarity, covered in peace, and stamped with divine timing. So stop second-guessing what your spirit already knows. You're not being rejected, you're being redirected. What lies beyond this transition is not just a new chapter, it's a new rhythm, a higher pace, a deeper alignment. Move when the ground starts to feel unfamiliar. That's not the end. That's the beginning of where you truly belong. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. You've been walking through a season that may have felt like a delay, like a loop you couldn't exit. But here's the real story. That stage wasn't a mistake. It was designed to sharpen you in ways comfort never could. What looked like stillness on the outside was transformation under the surface. That space you wanted to escape, it became your personal lab of development. It stretched your patience until it matured. It wore out your ego until humility took root. It challenged your strength not to break you, but to reveal the parts that were unshakable. That former place wasn't meant to be your cage. It was a training ground disguised as limitation. It asked hard questions and made you find answers not in approval, but in your identity. It stripped you of what was convenient so you could discover what was eternal. The frustration, the pruning, the silences, they all worked together to refine your edges and expand your spiritual depth. That place wasn't punishment, it was calibration. Every obstacle sculpted your resilience. Every closed door shaped your focus. Every unanswered prayer tuned your ear to listen beyond noise. And maybe it was lonely. Maybe it felt like invisibility. But in that hiddenness, you gained what public platforms could never give: rootedness. You learned to hold your own ground, not for applause, but because your values told you to. You didn't just survive that space. You became someone in it. And now, with perspective, it's clear. The discomfort was molding. The restrictions were instructions. You were never stuck. You were being carved. The truth is, no transformation ever feels glamorous in real time. It's gritty, confusing, exhausting. But what you carry now, that clarity, that grit, that discernment, none of it came cheap. You earned it in a space nobody celebrated. And now, that chapter is complete. The season that once shaped you no longer fits the frame of who you've become. You are not escaping it in shame. You're stepping out of it with substance. This is not abandonment of the past. It's honor for the role it played. The old place was the furnace, but it was never the finish. It taught you how to carry vision without noise, how to stay grounded without affirmation, and how to fight spiritually without needing to be seen. And now, the release has come. Not because you've hit perfection, but because you've grown enough for what's next. You didn't just wait it out. You grew through it. And now, it's time to walk forward. Not as someone who lost time, but as someone who has been forged by it. There comes a moment when the room starts to shrink, not because it gets smaller, but because you've grown. What once felt like alignment now feels like friction, and what once gave you purpose now echoes with emptiness. This shift isn't punishment. It's not exile. It's the sound of destiny calling your name. You're not being dismissed. You're being summoned. This is not a door slamming in your face. It's a path being quietly cleared ahead of you. There's a difference between being pushed away and being drawn upward, and you're in the middle of that divine shift. What's happening now doesn't mean you failed. It means you're ready. The quiet nudge in your soul isn't rejection, it's instruction. Something sacred is unfolding, and you're not losing anything that still serves you. You're being removed from spaces where your wings are clipped and guided toward air that knows how to hold you. You are not wandering. You are being rerouted by design. This isn't loss. This is legacy in motion. Those who walked before you had to make these same choices. They stepped out not because it was easy, but because it was time. The same fire that once refined you no longer fuels you. And that's how you know it's complete. You do not need to explain this shift to anyone. What feels like a goodbye to some is actually your response to a higher frequency calling you onward. You aren't leaving because you're lost. You're advancing because your next chapter refuses to be written in the language of your last. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. This new territory isn't random. It's been built to match your growth. Every struggle you faced shaped your voice. Every delay toughened your core. Every not yet prepared the way for this now. What awaits is not just a different location. It's a recalibration of your purpose. The discomfort wasn't a detour, it was a compass. And now the direction is clear. Forward. No, you're not running away. You're moving toward what has always had your name on it. The space you're entering was carved for who you've become, not who you were. And this time, you walk in without shrinking, without apologizing, without waiting for permission. You walk in knowing the ground ahead is not foreign. It's familiar to your spirit, even if your eyes haven't seen it yet. You're not being replaced. You're being re-established. So, take the step, not with fear, but with reverence. What you're walking into isn't uncertain. It's sacred. Keep walking. The map is unfolding beneath your feet. And you're not behind schedule, you're exactly on divine time. Some souls are not simply guided. They are anticipated. When life begins to shift without warning, and you sense movement before there's motion, it's not a signal of chaos. It's the quiet whisper of completion. The next step is not an experiment. It's an echo from what's already been established. You are not being sent into an empty room. You're stepping into a space that already knows your name. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. This is not guesswork. This is precision. Before the desire to move even forms in your chest, the blueprint has already been drawn. Timing aligns not because you force it, but because something divine presses forward from beyond the timeline. Conversations that matter are already being nudged into place. Doors you haven't touched yet are unlocking because your presence is expected. You are not searching for a miracle. You're walking into one that has been patiently waiting for your yes. The anxiety to explain or earn your way into belonging fades because this next place isn't earned, it's inherited. Favor was placed here before you ever arrived. There's no scramble to impress, no panic to secure footing. What you thought would be an uphill climb is actually a pre-cleared path. There's room already made, and the atmosphere adjusts not to test you, but to receive you. That's why pressure disappears. You don't need to twist arms or orchestrate connections. What's truly yours never needs to be taken by force. Alignment replaces effort. Even the obstacles begin to shift when your feet hit the ground. Not because of your strength, but because heaven has already stepped through first. You're not forging a future, you're stepping into one already matured. The place you're headed toward doesn't need 1,000 explanations. It holds still and waits, like a sealed letter with your name on it. And when you finally open it, all the delays, all the exits, all the closed chapters make sense. Because this is the appointment, not the accident. So keep walking, not with fear, but with the quiet confidence of someone who's not late, just precisely aligned with a purpose that's always been one step ahead. The arrival is not random. It's the response to obedience. Keep going. Everything ahead already knows how to hold you. Some seasons arrive with a quiet realization. Not everything that starts with you is designed to finish with you. Growth does not always announce itself with celebration. Sometimes it whispers through distance, through silence, through the fading of once familiar voices. What once felt like anchor now feels like anchor weight. What used to uplift starts to echo limitation. That is not failure. That is shift. It is natural to want to keep everyone close, especially the ones who held your hand during storms, who walked with you through early breakthroughs, who saw the first flicker of your fire. But now, the terrain changes, the altitude rises, and some relationships, though meaningful, do not hold the stretch for the climb ahead. Loyalty is beautiful, but when misapplied, it becomes a trap disguised as virtue. There are connections built for comfort and connections built for calling. You can love both, but you cannot bring both everywhere. Some souls are woven into the early chapters of your story, necessary, purposeful, valuable. But their language does not speak into the next page. Trying to drag forward what grace has gently released creates friction that slows purpose and burdens the path. This is not abandonment. It is recognition. You do not stop caring. You stop compromising. There is a difference between growing together and growing apart. Sometimes the most obedient move is a quiet exit. You are not required to shrink just to stay in step with someone afraid of your expansion. You are not called to dilute your fire so it doesn't burn their comfort. And yes, separation may sting, but that ache clears the space where new alignment can land. Alignment that fuels your vision. Alignment that stretches without snapping. Alignment that does not ask you to tone down your purpose or explain your evolution. There are people who do not just tolerate your shift, they champion it. They see your trajectory and match its rhythm. Do not mourn the necessary shedding. Release what's expired without guilt. Hold space for what was, but honor what is becoming. Some good things lose their timing. Some dear voices no longer speak the language of your now. That is not cruel, it is transition. Divine progression often travels light. So let them go if they are not graced to go further. Let the path narrow if that means your focus sharpens. Let the page turn. Because the people who belong in your next, they do not resist your growth. They make room for it. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. And let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Galatians 6:9. Think of a seed. It doesn't rise overnight. It pushes through layers of dirt, in the dark, silently, without applause. Nobody claps for a root system. Nobody praises the waiting, but God does, because He knows that the soil seasons are where strength gets built. That's what you've been living through, a divine planting season. And what's about to bloom in your life isn't luck, and it sure isn't random. It's harvest on schedule. You didn't get here by accident, chosen one. What's unfolding now is a direct response to every quiet act of obedience. Every time you forgave when it wasn't easy. Every time you stayed kind when you had every right to be cold. Every time you kept walking when giving up would have been justified. Those weren't just good moments. Those were prophetic movements. Decisions you made in the shadows are now shifting your future into full view. This next chapter doesn't fall into your lap. It's delivered, signed, sealed, and released because of the discipline you showed when no one was watching. And hear this: what's coming isn't just new. It's custom fit for the person you've become. You're not stepping into something random. You're stepping into something that matches your spirit now. The atmosphere's been tailored. The room's been rearranged. You no longer have to shrink yourself to fit. You don't have to filter your fire just to belong. God didn't forget you. He's been fashioning this next place, shaping it while shaping you. And now, the doors that once stayed shut weren't denying you. They were defending you. The delays weren't punishment. They were divine protection to keep you from entering too soon. Because when you show up now, you're showing up as the real you. The version that doesn't need to explain, convince, or hustle to be valued. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. You've paid in patience. You've sowed in silence. You've grown when it felt like nothing was happening. But something was. Heaven was tracking every step. And now, it's your moment. Not to prove, but to occupy. Not to chase, but to receive. The wait is over. Not because you begged for it to end, but because you are faithful enough to finish what others would have quit. What's ahead isn't just better, it's blessed. And not just blessed, it's built for you. You're not walking into coincidence, you're walking into confirmation. And when you get there, you won't have to perform to keep it. All you'll have to do is be. And here's the twist. It feels like rest, like breath, like release. Not because the path is easy, but because the path is yours. You won't need to rush, chase, or strive. The alignment does the work. The timing does the lifting. The doors you enter are not won by force, but unlocked by truth. You've become the version of yourself that can carry what's next without crumbling under its weight. So when you arrive, you won't question it. You'll feel the knowing before the confirmation. You'll see familiar threads in new scenery. And you'll understand, this isn't luck. This is legacy. This is what all those uncelebrated choices build. It's not reward for good behavior. It's the echo of faith, finally catching up to the form that can hold it. Keep your eyes open. Every step now echoes, "You're home." There comes a moment in your journey when you feel the echo of release. It doesn't roar. It hums quietly through your chest, reminding you that everything you're stepping away from once served you, but no longer fits. The ache is real. And yes, memories tug at your edges. But that pull isn't permission to stay. It's proof you've outgrown something sacred. What shaped you cannot shelter you forever. Not everything that brought warmth can follow you into the firelight of purpose. Some chapters close gently. Others require courage to shut. And it's okay to miss the laughter, the comfort, the patterns that once helped you breathe. But now, you breathe deeper. You've outpaced what once sustained you. The skin of yesterday cannot stretch over the bones of who you're becoming. What's waiting ahead is not just better, it's aligned. It doesn't compete for your energy. It meets it. It doesn't ask you to shrink. It honors your expansion. The people there will not require a performance. The space ahead speaks fluently the language of your growth. It doesn't flinch when you show up as your full self. You are not just moving into new scenery. You're stepping into resonance. What surrounds you finally mirrors what stirs within. There will be moments when you wonder if the release was worth it. You'll feel nostalgia dressed up as doubt. You'll question whether you should have stayed longer. That's natural. That's what happens when you love deeply and leave honestly. But one day soon, without warning, you'll step into a moment that feels like breath after a long swim. The light will be different. Your posture will shift. Something in you will whisper, "This is what the pain was clearing space for." And then it clicks. You weren't being stripped, you were being sculpted. You weren't being exiled. You were being ushered into timing too precise for yesterday's frame. The relationships, routines, and rhythms that felt like loss were only pruning. You didn't fall behind. You were being positioned. So even if your voice trembles, speak your yes to what's ahead. Even if your hands shake, open them. Let go without bitterness. Move without a full map. Trust that what you're walking into carries weight too rich for anything you had to lay down. You won't have to force the future. You'll feel it unfold. And when it does, everything you once questioned will answer itself in peace.